You can only imagine the studio calls about this woman behind the scene. Like,
I had no idea what I was auditioning for when I auditioned.
And our lead actress hates our film, our actors, our storyline.
So it's a kind of a hilarious question to say, like, what drew you to the material? Is that, like, I didn't realize that I was reading lines.
It's just a total nightmare for the studios. So now she's trying to sell, like...
And then it became, like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part.
I wouldn't even recognize her on the street, so I find it hard to believe these kids are coming up and asking for selfies. This has to be set up. I wouldn't know her from Adam walking down the block.
Rachel Zegler did not just go there, but yes, she did. And not even her harshest critics saw this one coming. Word on the West End streets is Rachel, fresh off her controversial takes on Snow White, just stunned everyone by making a casting demand so wild, even longtime producers were left picking their jaws off the floor. The rising actress, who's been making more headlines for drama than acting lately, has reportedly told the team behind Evita that her male co-star, yeah, he's gotta go. Why? Because Rachel allegedly wants him replaced with a trans actor. Yes, you read that right.
It's obviously a very convoluted subject, and I'm not fully equipped to talk about all of the gritty details, what she sees in the world. And it's definitely not lost on her that her themes are very much prevalent in the world. And I'm really thankful that we get to kind of hold the mirror up to society and ask them those questions without necessarily force-feeding them an answer.
Whispered in a rehearsal corner, sources say Rachel came in swinging. She allegedly insisted that the iconic male role, traditionally Juan Perón or the narrator, needed a total reimagining. She reportedly told producers that casting a cis man in the part was sending the wrong message. And this wasn't optional. Nope. Rachel gave them an ultimatum.
I don't want to hear from Rachel Zegler about feminism or her life or what she wants to do with her body. Be an actress, be young, be an ingenue in Hollywood. I don't understand what she's doing. The fastest way to tank your career, go out there and start running your mouth and trashing the original IP of the film you're in. Also, there's nothing wrong with wanting a man. Can we not have chivalry in this world anymore? There's nothing wrong with saying, you know what? I'd love for a man to come scoop me up and provide for me.
TLDR. The girls and the gays, we all want a man, we all dream about...
One source described the whole moment as a cultural bombshell, not a discussion, but a dramatic standoff. Rachel, ever the self-proclaimed voice of inclusivity, allegedly pitched the idea as a way to push the musical into the future, a chance to give underrepresented communities a shot at the spotlight. But insiders weren't all cheering. Some were accusing her of trying to hijack the show's entire creative vision. After all, she was cast to act in the show, not rewrite it.
All of them, the precision that it takes to do what they do, to get notes on the daily and incorporate them immediately, it's like such an ensemble piece.
It's our last week here. I feel like Diego really became a man here.
I did. I grew out my facial hair. I'm still working on it.
I just put my blonde wig on for the first time. And I'm thinking about becoming a blonde. I'll show you a photo. And I'll show you a photo.
Together. Oh my God.
Wait, right?
Rachel.
It's wild.
Whew, it was instant and explosive. Theater purists cried betrayal. Argentine commentators said it was flat out disrespectful. Even some progressive voices were like, girl, this ain't it. Critics called the move performative, attention-seeking, all about Rachel, not the trans community she claimed to support. And now, the whole Evita production, it's teetering on the edge. The word behind the scenes? This isn't about casting anymore. It's about power, control, and Rachel turning the stage into a battlefield.
It's like all this agenda is for the sake of girl power, for the sake of wokeness, for the sake of ridiculousness and stupidness that women bring to entertainment much of the time nowadays. When all a woman really has to do is be attractive and don't screw it up. That's all a woman really has to do.
Bombshell might not totally shock you. From being the darling of West Side Story to public enemy #1 in the Disney community, she's had one dramatic twist after another. Her Snow White press tour was a train wreck, mocking the original plot, calling the prince creepy, and dismissing the fairy tale romance as outdated garbage.
Disney, get your girl. Rachel Zegler is making it very difficult to be excited for the new Snow White movie that's supposed to come out next year. If you are living under a rock, there's been a lot of controversy about the fact that Rachel Zegler is playing Snow White in the film. That's not where my problem comes. I'm all for it. Go for it. But what she's doing in press, and these are interviews that I believe were done before the actors' strike, but of course are now being brought up on the internet. She's basically talking about how much she didn't like the actual original movie, even saying that it scared her. And then talking about how the love story in this isn't really going to be at the forefront, that the prince, yes, has been cast, he's in it, but might be cut, Hollywood, and that the prince in the original film was problematic and was creepy because he was stalking Snow White. I just can't believe that Disney's PR hasn't silenced her on this yet. The live action movies already have a problem where people are kind of over them and they don't like the changes that are being made from the originals to these. And with this one,
She even said the movie was from 1937 and totally irrelevant now. Fans went ballistic. Suddenly, this rising star was being accused of stomping all over tradition, rewriting beloved classics just to fit her personal agenda. But did Rachel take a step back? Nope, she leaned in hard. She framed all the backlash as proof that the world just couldn't handle a strong, opinionated woman.
Disney is delaying Snow White over a year until 2025.
You're just giving Rachel Zegler more time to ruin the PR for this movie once the strike is over.
Yes,
Talking about how we don't need a prince. Maybe that's why they're delaying it. They're reshooting the whole thing to get rid of the prince.
Teens and Screens, a report came out this week. Apparently, Gen Z doesn't want to see any romance. What seems strange to me is that stories and entertainments used to be a way that you could see examples of what you could live up to, showing us traditional stories, traditional archetypes. And now the idea is that if what you're seeing on screen doesn't mirror your life, there's something wrong with on screen. And I found that to be very bizarre. Like, I can see things on screen that I think are authentic, even though they don't mirror my...
Isn't it? Step into a beloved role, tear it apart, rebuild it in her image. With Evita, she allegedly walked into rehearsals and started questioning everything about the male leads. Her supporters say she's a fearless changemaker, but her critics, they say she's bulldozing legacies, taking cultural treasures and twisting them into political statements.
Zegler led Disney to their biggest failure in 100 years with Snow White, and now she just flopped again on Broadway. And before Rachel Zegler got started doing movies, she was actually a popular theater actress in New York City who was known for doing productions like Little Mermaid. That was a big reason she was able to beat out the other 30,000 actresses auditioned to be in the movie West Side Story, which was her first performance. But that movie ended up bombing hard, where it only made $76 million on a budget of $100 million, and after marketing and ticket splits, it actually lost $120 million. But still, her director Steven Spielberg loved working with her, so he actually recommended her for Disney for the role of Snow White. The movie had a lot of hate going for it, the right calling Rachel Zegler too woke, the left saying that they didn't like Gal Gadot because she was an Israeli veteran, and also at the same time many people just being sick of Disney reboots. And it flopped hard, making only $200 million on a budget of $270 million, which means after marketing and ticket splits, the movie actually lost around $250 million for Disney. And now Rachel Zegler tried to return to theater to make a recovery, doing Romeo plus Juliet on Broadway, but the problem was ticket sales just weren't that good. With people calling the play just average, saying it was a bad attempt to get Gen Z interested in theater, and with that I'm Charles Perrault, please.
But this time, Rachel didn't just touch a fairy tale. She touched a national icon, and what she allegedly tried next left everyone speechless.
People are really mad at Rachel Zegler. Because of the actors and writers strikes that are happening in Hollywood, she just did an interview where she demanded to have her salary increase.
I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
But considering she's making millions of dollars playing the role of Snow White, many became infuriated by her comments, saying sarcastic things like she has the perfect attitude for a Disney princess, and she seems like a ball of sunshine.
Yeah, this girl doesn't really help the movie. The more she speaks, the less people want to watch it. And users in the comments didn't hold back. She's paid for a movie nobody asked for and still nobody wants. Yep, and another one, bro, she just blew up. Can she chill? She's been in like 3 movies. Exactly, just...
To understand the uproar, you have to understand what she was trying to change. In Evita, there are 2 crucial male roles: Juan Perón, Argentina's president, and Eva's husband, and Che, the revolutionary narrator. Both aren't just roles, they're the backbone of the show. Juan represents power, Che is the conscience of the musical, sharp, political, and essential to the story's emotional punch. So when Rachel reportedly demanded that one of them be recast with a trans actor, yeah, that wasn't seen as a simple update, that was seen as a full-on ideological takeover. She allegedly argued that the role should reflect modern gender realities, but the pushback was immediate and fierce. People were like, hold up, what does gender identity have to do with Eva Perón's historical journey? Theater experts warned, this isn't a blank canvas. It's Argentina's cultural legacy, a story about class, struggle, and real political history. You can't just insert today's gender politics into a 20th century Latin American narrative and expect people not to react. Rachel, in their eyes, wasn't just being bold. She was rewriting reality to fit her beliefs, and the fallout, it hit hard. According to multiple insiders, Rachel didn't just casually bring this up. She reportedly made it a condition. Sources claim she sat down with directors and flatly said the current casting was no longer acceptable for what she called a post-binary generation. And talent, experience, didn't matter. She allegedly argued that casting a cis man simply didn't reflect the progress the arts should be making. One insider swears she even said, "Make Eva matter again." And that's not all. Rachel reportedly proposed script changes, adjusting the male lead's arc to reflect gender fluidity, softening masculine lines, and shifting power dynamics to show shared gender roles. For longtime Evita creatives, some of whom had worked on this show for decades, it was a surreal moment. One of them said it felt like watching someone try to edit Shakespeare mid-rehearsal. Sure, a few sympathized with her boldness, but many were stunned by how hard she pushed. One producer even said, "This isn't collaboration, it's transformation," on her terms. Suddenly, Evita wasn't just a revival. It was a war zone, a cultural, political, and legal minefield. And the damage wasn't done yet. Backstage, things were unraveling fast. The tension, unbearable. Whispers spread like wildfire. Rachel's alleged casting demand wasn't just shocking, it was splitting the production in two. Crew members began muttering that Rachel was basically acting like the showrunner without ever being given the title. Some were too scared to speak up, fearing they'd be labeled anti-inclusion. One cast member allegedly summed up the mood best. "We all want to support something forward-thinking, but this felt like we were being dragged into an activist campaign, not a theater revival. Rehearsals, pure chaos. Scenes were reportedly rewritten, lines tweaked, notes passed back and forth with language more aligned with Rachel's ideology than the original Evita script. The director was walking a tightrope, trying not to offend the lead actress or destroy the soul of one of theater's most sacred works. And behind closed doors, the production team was panicking. They started meeting in secret, frantically reviewing licensing contracts from Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. Could they legally make these changes? Would they be sued? Could they lose the rights to the show? One word kept coming up in those meetings: collapse. Because that's where they were headed, fast. And then the leak. It hit the internet like a bomb. Social media exploded. X, TikTok, Reddit, all on fire. Rumors were everywhere. Rachel Zegler fires co-star. Demands trans recast. West End Evita in meltdown. And guess what? The details didn't even matter anymore. The narrative had taken hold. Activists praised Rachel. They called her brave, revolutionary, finally pushing trans representation into the heart of theater. But even her own supporters were divided. Some praised the effort, but questioned the execution, the timing, the motive. Was it really about inclusivity or just optics? And from the theater world, they weren't having it. One West End director posted, "You don't rewrite history mid-rehearsal and call it progress, you call it ego." Others warned this was dangerous. If lead actors could start dictating casting based on ideology, where did it stop? Who'd be next? Could the entire creative process be hijacked by the biggest voice in the room? Soon headlines started rolling in. Zegler goes woke. Evita in turmoil. West End erupts over gender casting clash. The Argentine press, furious. Their message was crystal clear. This isn't just a play, it's our story. One columnist in La Nación wrote, "Eva Perón isn't Rachel Zegler's experiment. She's our history. She's our identity." The backlash wasn't just tweets and comments. It was personal. Online petitions began circulating, some demanding the male role be restored, others calling for Rachel's removal entirely. Fan forums turned into war zones. People arguing, yelling, canceling tickets. Ticket sales wildly erratic. Some nights sold out. Curious theatergoers flocking to see the controversy live. Other nights, crickets. Refund requests started coming in. A source close to the production admitted, "We don't know if this is going viral or going off the rails." Meanwhile, cast morale was sinking fast. Some backed Rachel. Others felt betrayed. One anonymous actor said, "If this whole thing burns to the ground, only she'll be remembered. Maybe that's the point." Another said, "This doesn't feel like a play anymore, it's a political campaign." And then came Argentina's full wrath. See, Rachel may have underestimated just how sacred Eva Perón is to her people. She's not just a character, she's a national symbol, a legend, a woman whose name still echoes through their politics, their art, their culture. So when news hit Buenos Aires that an American actress wanted to change the gender of one of Eva's co-leads, all hell broke loose. TV anchors,